Hey, this is Jackson, aka Gamble,
And this is Tyler, aka Flux.
and we will be bringing you a 2v2 versus Outplayed, the Blue Terran, with Oobios, the Red Protoss, versus MrScatacs, the Pink Zerg, and Mantou, the Teal Terran.
And again, this is a part of a showmatch series. It's a best of 7. We have the University of Texas at Austin there on the left with Oobios and Outplayed, and the University of Texas at Arlington on the right with the Mantou and MrScatacs. So a little bit of info about the show match. UTA Austin is up 3-2 right now. So this match is very important for the guys on the right for Arlington. They have to win this in order to stay in the show match. So it should be a pretty good game because the pressure is really on at this point. Jackson, what are your thoughts on 2v2? I know they're a lot different than 1v1s just because of the dynamics that go into them. There's no just simple safety as
Yeah,
far as go
yeah,
ahead.
I would definitely agree with that. CSL did a very interesting thing deciding to incorporate 2v2s. 2v2 not very popular in competitive play, so we don't have all these high-level gamers to sort out the standard build orders. I would definitely say that it's a big mistake to think that a 2v2 is simply two 1v1s put together. There's a lot of plays in 1v1 that people would consider cheesy, like seven racks, seven pool or very early gateways or something like that. But I think in 2v2 it's very standard because what you want to do is team up with your ally versus and then just attack one of the opponents at a time. So the earlier you can do that, the more likely you are to win.
Yeah, I completely agree. 2v2 right now is it's not fully fleshed out essentially. There's a lot of cheesy builds that are you're able to counter in 1v1 just because they've been balanced so well and because you know how to defend against them. But when you have two players 6-pulling you, there's not much you can do. So there kind of comes in this line in 2v2 where it's a little bit cheesier than 1v1 just because of the reasons you mentioned. But then again, there can be some really fun looking games that come out of it. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out in the CSL season this year.
Right. Yeah. So, but we do see quote unquote standard 1v1 builds. Looks like a 13 or 14 pool coming in from the Zerg. Terran getting his orbital on 15. Same thing coming from the UT side. Same timing in the orbital commands. And just standard play.
Yep, standard play all around. It looks like the Protoss in the bottom left. Oobios, he went for a normal time gateway into cybernetics score, completely normal. Like you said, I was watching, that was a 14 pool for Zerg, but it looks like we have a little bit of deviation here. The Zerg player is going for a really fast lair before his queen even.
Right.
So my guess here is super fast mutas, and he's hoping the other team's not ready for it. We'll see how this works out for him because it's a very risky strategy. If the other team puts on any type of early aggression, then he's pretty much out of luck because he has no queen. He's devoting all of his larvae right now, it looks like, to drones so he can support that mutalist production he's about to start with. So very risky play, like I said. It should be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah, but this is one of those dynamics in 2v2 we talked about that don't exist in 1v1. First of all, you have your ally to defend you, so we know that Terran is very strong at defending with bunkers and siege tanks, so maybe he's counting on his ally to defend him. And the other thing is that, usually you don't have enough economy to get up mini Mutalisk on one base, but we could be seeing some sort of strategy from the UTA side where the Terran player actually funnels resources into the Zerg so he can make more Mutalisks than he would be able to normally off of one base.
That's a really good point. That's another thing I forgot to mention about those dynamics in 2v2. You're able to do that. I know there's a 5-minute, I think, window that you cannot trade resources, but maybe they have it timed out to where as soon as that 5 minutes is up, he's pumping mutas nonstop.
Yeah, that would be some high-level 2v2.
Yeah, that definitely it comes planned, and if they can plan that, that's pretty good. In the top right, we see a Reaper from Outplayed into Mantou's base. I forgot to mention Mantou is the coordinator for UT Arlington, in case you guys are wondering. So he's doing all the coordination up there. Good stuff by him.
He actually already did a lot of damage, forcing all those SCVs to come off the mineral line. He also sniped the probe that was building the factory, so there's going to be a huge delay on this factory. Mantou not responding very well.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. And you see all those idle SCVs off to the left, just now trying to move around. One Reaper really should not delay that many SCVs.
Right.
You stick one SCV on it, keep it moving, and send in the Lings or the Marines to finish it off.
Right.
With good micro and one SCV, you can handle that. You should not have to pull off all of those, but looks like a really good play by Outplayed. I guess he pulled out maybe because of pity or not really sure what at this point. But
he only killed 4 SCVs, but he did hundreds of minerals worth of damage just by forcing those SCVs to stop. And we do see
Yeah,
mutas coming out for the Zerg player, but you know, we mentioned not many mutas off of one base. Only going to be able to get about 5 mutas, so he's going to have to do some damage with those in order to make up for this economic loss.
absolutely, and because that queen wasn't out earlier, that means he had only 3 larvae he could produce with immediately. So getting that queen might really hurt his initial muta production. It looks like he has 5 out right now, and the Reaper from Outplayed is going into the Zerg base. He's going to scout this Spire, so they're going to know what's up and be able to defend against this, hopefully fairly easily.
We do see that the Protoss player has 2 Stargates pumping out Void Rays, 4 Void Rays, 3 Void Rays already on the field, 2 at the Zerg base, and 1 bringing up the rear.
Very interesting. These 2 Void Rays are just about to hit that Spire. Let's see how much damage they can actually do. With these mutas around, they should not be able to do too much, but the mutas are completely disregarding his main, and that Spire is going to fall pretty easily once those Void Rays are charged.
Zerg not doing a good job responding for this, letting those Void Rays charge up. They're not going to lose their charge now that they're in the middle of all these buildings, so they're going to have a very hard time responding to this, even with all.
And now we see these mutas are just idle in the middle. He's not microing his units well. That queen fell. Now these marines are coming, so maybe they'll be able to defend this, but the damage is already
done. That layer alive with just a little bit of HP. So
wow, that's really close.
Yeah.
Good defense by them a little bit late, but at least he did not lose that layer, so they're still in this game as far as we go right now. What do we see down on the UT team? We see Void Rays and Phoenixes out for the Protoss player. So he's really devoting to that air. Phoenixes are a great combo to mutas because they have that moving shot. Microing around those mutas is a pretty fun thing to do. Once you can do it well, it's quite effective.
Yeah, although I don't really like the Phoenix play because he did just snipe the Spire, so it doesn't look like we'll be seeing more mutas anytime soon. And it looks like the Protoss is just now starting his Warp Gate research, so that's how devoted he was to this air play.
And I will admit, those Void Rays came out extremely fast, so that was really good play on their part. They had a plan on the UT team, and it looks like it's being executed fairly well so far.
Yeah, but it does look like, these players are kind of refusing to expand. We see 40 probes for the Red Protoss, but no expansion. Actually, only 1 player is expanded, which is the Pink Zerg from the UTA side. And, yeah, these players really need an expansion at this point in the game.
We see the mutas come down in the Red Protoss base. They're harassing that pylon a little bit. If they can take out that pylon, they can take those Stargates out of production for a little bit of time, but it does not look like they're going to be able to do too much because those air units are pretty close.
Right. Protoss is shifting into a more of a ground-based play with Warp Gate research coming up and 2 more gateways, making for a total of 3 gateways. He actually has Twilight coming up too.
If we look to the bottom right at the map of the UT blue Terran player is actually bringing in 3 Reapers to that Zerg main. It looks like he's going to try to stack that lair. Let's see, it's going to be very close because those Lings are after him. And there goes the lair. Wow, that's good play by that Terran player. Very nice play.
Yeah, so now bringing the Pink Zerg down to 1 base again. All of these drones right here are long-distance mining, so a huge economic hit. We see the Spire just now coming up, so Zerg just rebuilt that Spire. He's also rebuilding his hatchery where his main was.
And he needs to transfer a lot of those drones back to that expansion so they're not long-distance mining. He's not nearly saturated on that natural expo. He can do a lot better if he just brings those back and cuts a loss while that hatchery's rebuild.
Yeah, and we see some Hellion drops at the north side of the base. Looks like Teal was able to catch sight of this, so he is going to be able to defend it with his Marine Ball. But yeah, he's going to be able to move that dropship down south and harass the Zerg. So that's the thing. That's the great thing about harass in 2v2 is that if both players have to be able to respond to any type of threat, because if one player's not responding to it, then he can just drop it and go somewhere else.
Exactly. Harassment is very good when your opponents are spread thin, and we see in 2v2. If one person's not paying attention, that's the equivalent of one person being spread twice as far. Those Hellions did go down, and it looks like the UT team's about to push out a pretty sizable MMM ball and a little bit of ground army plus Void Race for the toss player.
And the Red Protoss finally expanding, so the UTA team up in terms of expansion. You know, Pink does have this expansion up for a while, although he did lose his main, and Teal having 2 base now. Blue Terran's still only on 1 base, really needs to expand.
It looks like we see a Dark Shrine that just finished over in the Red Terran's base, so that's going to be very interesting if they can bring some DTs in and snipe off some units or some key structures before they're able to get a good amount of detection.
Yeah. Looks like Red Protoss Nexus just came up, and he's going to be able to make a transfer of quite a hefty number of probes. He's going to have that instantly saturated, so that's very nice.
Yeah, that's a really good timing transfer there. We see the UT team is moving up the center alley. They should be able to do a fair bit of damage if they push. Although it does look like the Terran player from UT Arlington is going to drop. He's heading over with some medevacs, perhaps in the blue Terran. Just going to be very interesting if he can do some damage there.
Yeah.
Lots of mutas in their main, in the blue Terran's main, so...
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a heavy harass game with 4 players all trying to harass, just being very effective.
Makes for a fun game.
Right. The thing about these 2v2 games is that if we look at the quote-unquote main army of each side, you will see very diverse units just because each army is going to be composed of units from 2 different races. So that's also another.
They have to be ready to defend against whatever's coming with them. And with 2 different races, then there's a lot more there. And we have a main. We have a drop inside the blue main. It looks like he's going to be able to handle this very simply. He stims to get right on top of that siege tank, so it can't do too much splash damage to the Marines.
I don't think that's
a good job by him.
Off before it went down.
Yeah, it had no chance.
And this DT down here is just swinging away at these Zerglings. I think this is a bit of a blunder. I think he should be concentrating on the drones because he has about 15 Zergling kills right now, but they could all be drone kills instead.
Absolutely, we missed a little bit. There was a DT in the main of the Mantou's base, the Terran on the UT Arlington side, and this Dark Templar is still in the middle, wailing away 25 kills all of Zerglings. He one-shots those so simply, killing the SUVs, killing anything that will come in his path. All they need to do is morph an Overseer. But
wow, now up to 27 kills, 14 drones. 28, 30.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. If I were him, I would go for the siege tanks. I mean, you can kill Zerglings fairly easily, but getting those positioning on the siege tanks, especially when you're moving in with your main army, is pretty effective in this situation. Still wailing away. 39 kills on this Dark Templar. I don't know if the other team just doesn't see it or is too frustrated to handle it.
Tossing those Zerglings into the tank splash, not a good idea. In 2v2 we talk about these dynamics. That's another one. You can't just blindly charge in with your Zerglings when your ally has sieged up tanks, because that's going to end up doing damage to your own Zerglings.
Yeah, no doubt there. And we see a big drop by Blue inside the top right Terran's main. Looks pretty good. He's doing a fair bit of damage. He was able to take care of all of those a lot of those tech structures and unit producing structures, as well as the units that were up there to defend. So this game, it looks to be fairly over at this point. We finally see Overseers coming in a little bit late, but better late than never for the Zerg player.
Production factor, production buildings. Even if he's able to repel this, he's not going to be able to catch up in the macro game just because he won't be able to build units until he gets those back up. And then we see the GG.
And GG. I think that was a very it was a fun game as far as 2v2s go. Like you said, a lot of 2v2s can't be taken too seriously at this point, just because there's so much cheese and gimmicks that go along with them. But once you get a bunch of good players together and you really hammer out some solid 2v2 strategies, I'm sure that we'll get to be very interesting games.
Yeah, definitely. And we actually see this DT up here with 48 kills. 48 kills.
That's one hero DT.
Right. I think that's the most kills I've seen out of any one unit in any game so far. In a real game.
Yeah, I was looking at the title. The title stops at Executor at 25 kills, and he's practically double that. So that's pretty incredible. Good job by the UT team. That means they officially win the show match 4-2, although there was an agreement before. We're going to play out all the matches just because it'll be fun and to give all the players a chance. So look forward to our ace match coming up.
All right.